Good morning. Welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11, and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. We are going to take a look at some pitching for today, the 17th of April. It is Wednesday. We do have an 11-game main day slate. We do have a couple games with some weather, but nothing to worry about as of right now. No real big wind. Uh, Maybe some wind out to right field between Kansas City and Chicago, but it's not overly strong. Some wind out to right in LA and Oakland, but those ballparks are generally play a little bit bigger. No big issues there, other than the fact that it is LA. And hopefully, I mean, they should be fairly popular, especially because it's a day slate. But we are here to talk about pitching. And if it's your first time here, this is basically my first look at the pitching options. I know we're kind of running behind this morning, but try to get an idea of a rough pitcher pool. Uh, that then I break down and kind of go a little more in depth for the members at DFS Army. So at the top we have Tariq Skubal. Difficult matchup against Texas. Um, Not an exciting spot, but God, he's looked so good so far this season that it's really tough for me to not want to go there. Um, K prop of 6.5. He's actually a minus 148 favorite. Game total of just 7.5, which I believe is the lowest, tied for the lowest on this slate of games with the Cincinnati Seattle game. So there's just a lot of things working in Scooble's favor. Obviously, his performances are working in his favor. The issue is the weaker offenses that he has faced, but Texas hasn't exactly been tearing the cover off of the ball of late. Being left-handed also kind of makes it more difficult on a guy like Corey Seager, even though he's almost matchup proof. Um, Evan Carter, even Jared Walsh, who had a pretty solid spring and has looked decent. Uh, so I guess it's an advantage for a left-handed pitcher against Texas, I would guess, initially. So I want to use him. I don't think he's going to be overly popular at 10K. So I can feel pretty confident in getting, um, maybe a 20 to 25% share. I did just kind of look at our projected ownership, and we actually have him kind of high, which just kind of shocking. I wouldn't be shocked to see that kind of drop down. We have him around 28% as of right now. So uh, let's move on. A couple guys here at the top that I'm also very interested in. Freddie Peralta, elite performance against a difficult Baltimore squad. I could see a bit of a hangover effect coming from that start, just because was a pretty huge start for him, 11 Ks on the road. But overall, I don't think the San Diego offense is super potent and dangerous, as at least right now. I know Cronenworth's banged up a little bit, so lineup might be a little weaker. But Peralta's just, I mean, he's basically an ace at this point, right? He's really developed into something. I don't see any K props or anything listed for him. I wonder if there's some questions about whether he'll actually end up starting this game, but from everything that I've seen, he's the actual starter. But we'll kind of have to pay attention to that. Brady Singer rained out yesterday. I'm sure I had a lot. I don't remember exactly what I said about him yesterday, but K prop of 5.5, strong minus 192 favorite. Uh, I'm sure I pointed out that the White Sox arguably have the weakest lineup in baseball right now. I know Eloy Jimenez is back, but still missing Luis Robert, missing Moncada, uh, running out Martin Maldonado all the time, Braden Shoemake, Nicky Lopez, a bunch of weak swinging guys right now. So that lineup is just pretty ripe to pick on. So I'm definitely going to be all about Singer. This matchup between Stroman and Gausman, I'm just not sure what to do with right now. Um, Gausman doesn't look the same. Few of the Yankee guys have hit him pretty well in their careers. Stroman returning to Toronto is interesting. Shut them down in New York. Maybe he's an option for us, but right now I'm kind of leaving him on the outside looking in. Uh, could be a kind of like a last man into my pool. Just kind of see how my runs go because I'm definitely more interested in Bryce Miller and Andrew Abbott in that matchup. Like I mentioned before, that game has a total of just 7.5, and both teams can strike out plenty. Uh, I know Bryce Miller isn't just this locked in strikeout guy, but uh, shut down a Milwaukee offense that was rolling at the time, shut down a Cubs offense that has put up a ton of runs as well. Bryce Miller's certainly in play for me. Um, he is a minus 135 favorite in that game. I'm going to try to find the K props quick. 6.5 is his K prop, 5.5 for Andrew Abbott. Abbott hasn't really shown us the strikeout ability yet this year. Flashed it at times last year, but he gets a K increase, in this matchup, at least a perceived increase. Uh, I think he's a strong play. I prefer Miller in the matchup, but Abbott is somebody that definitely interests me. I'm not going to play Max Fried. He did look better last game. Uh, it was against Miami. Give it, take that for what it is. Houston didn't look great last night, but I just don't really want to use pitchers in Houston against Houston. Um, they can break out at any point. They're very comfortable hitting at home. They have been for years. Uh, I'm just not really ready to rely on Max Fried in that matchup. But I guess it makes me feel weird. Blackburn is definitely in my pool. Yet to allow a run this year. Not a big K guy. I don't think St. Louis is going to strike out a ton overall on the season. Uh, as they play some of the younger guys, maybe, but with Newt Bar back, I think the offense is getting a little better. But Blackburn has looked really solid. Strong ballpark to pitch in. K prop of just 4.5. Um, you know, we don't expect a ton of Ks out of him, so it is what it is. Game total of just 8. Uh, Mats and the Cardinals are a minus 155 favorite, but I think Blackburn's definitely in play. I feel better about using him than a guy like Max Fried. I feel better about using Blackburn than Stroman or Gausman, even though those two are better actual pitchers. I just think Blackburn's decent enough for this spot. I'm not going to use Brandon Pfaadt. Luis Severino, certainly in play. Has looked decent the last couple after a rough beginning to his season. The Pirates have some guys that can definitely strike out. Severino, minus 162 favorite in a game with just an 8 total. K prop of 6.5, which does feel aggressive. Um, given that he's gone over that just one of 3 starts, but it is an interesting number. I think it's a pretty good spot for Severino. I am interested in him. Looks like we think he's going to be owned around 20%, which does seem a little bit high, but a lot of these guys seem kind of spread out. So not too terrible. I will gladly use Severino. Dane Dunning hasn't been overly sharp. Strikeouts were their first couple, but 2 of his starts against the Houston squad that can score some runs. Uh, he is allowing a few too many base runners, walks, hits, but it is a Detroit team that we can kind of pick on at times with pitching. Like I mentioned earlier, under Scooble, total is just 7.5. Slight underdog, which is fine. K prop of 4.5, but the juice is really strong on the over. At some point, it might move to 5.5. So I think Dunning's perfectly in play. Not really interested in King against Milwaukee. Wicks. I am interested in Mats against Oakland. We can pick on Oakland. I'm just curious to wonder where his strikeouts have gone. He used to be definitely more of a strikeout pitcher. A high of just 3 in his 3 starts so far. That's worrisome. K prop of 5.5, but the juice is on the under. Uh, Matt's certainly going to carry some ownership based on that price point against the opponent. Right now we have him around 12%. If I had to just guess gun to my head, I would think he's probably closer to 18 to 20 uh, in some contests, but I am not the greatest at predicting ownership, apparently. So, Landon Eck, a solid matchup against Washington, getting the call, has made 3 minor league starts this year, has gone 5 innings, and 5 2/3 innings. Um, I think he's pretty much ticketed for a 5 inning start. He is a minus 250 favorite. Game total of 9.5. No K prop listed for him at this point. Decent strikeout guy. Washington isn't a huge strikeout team. At least they weren't last year. Obviously, waiting for some numbers to settle in this year. They do have Joey Gallo, who's going to add a ton of strikeouts to that lineup, but I think Knack's perfectly fine. I don't, I don't want to go super heavy on him, just because his upside is capped a little bit, and we're obviously always in the market for upside. We have him around 3 to 5% owned. He's probably going to be higher than that because people do like to try to jam in cheap pitchers. Uh, Completely opposite of the way I look at things because those cheap pitchers generally are capped upside. They can't match what some of the mid-priced and upper-priced pitchers can. Cheap batters can definitely match the upper tier batters on any given night. So it's kind of why I don't dabble too much down in this range. There are people already asking about Albert Suarez, mid-price pitcher, going to be making a start. I just don't see that I can get there. He's allowed 5 and 6 runs in 2 of his 3 appearances in the minors, one of those being a start. He does have K upside, has always shown K upside, but he just allows a ton of base runners. And I just don't think that he has the ability to approach, 20 DK points. Um, I mean, he's definitely going to draw ownership being min priced. I'm going to see if he's kind of a late announcement as a starting pitcher, so I'm not sure if we even have a projected ownership on him. We don't at this point, so it kind of tells you that. So, but there's the first look at pitching. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on to get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., you can use promo code RAZ, it's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. I will drop a link in the description below for that. And as always, best of luck, everybody.